like to work with alcohol markers, or have you just got some in your cupboard just waiting to be used and you're not sure what to do? In this week's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to use these in sort of a blending way to make them look a little bit like watercolour paints, and how to sort of finish off at the end. Hello and welcome to Friday Art with me, Cate Field. I release art tutorials every Monday and Friday, and I am absolutely delighted that you are here today, giving yourself a little time to be creative. Are you ready? Let's go. Well, I haven't played with alcohol markers for ages, and I thought, I think I need to do a tutorial. So welcome to Friday Art. I'm going to come back to this one because I thought I would show you just how I start. Now, I am using paper that is 230 grams and it has a smooth finish. And this is really important. We need to make sure that the paper isn't porous, otherwise the ink will just bleed and it will just make a bit of a mess, to be honest. I am putting a little piece of paper underneath. I am going to be using Artex sketch markers. These ones have a brush at one end and a nib at the other. Mainly, I use the brush end. I do use other markers as well, like this one, which again, I do like. And this has a chisel end and and a bit that fell out. And let me just find, that was slightly unexpected. Let's just, oh dear, I do like a live show. Yes, looks like that, and not with the whole thing coming out. Anyway, I will rescue that one a little bit later. I am going to be doing a flower design, and I'm going to start off by doing a square. I'm using a very soft pencil. I'm going to be doing some outlines so the pencil line won't show. You don't have to do pencil, you could go straight in with the pen if you want to. But I know that a lot of you get a little bit scared, so don't be scared. Starting off with an oval, kind of a long oval, a bit like a sausage, a little bit like a sausage. And then just floaty petals. I've been inspired by my dahlias because they are quite spectacular, actually, and I am no gardener, so having lovely dahlias has just been gorgeous. Even in this amazingly hot weather that we are experiencing here in southwest England, which is getting a bit silly now, actually. Haven't had rain for weeks, and yeah, the land is suffering just a little bit. As always, thank you so much for your lovely, lovely comments and your weather updates. If you are new and you're thinking, have I just tuned in to a weather channel? I just like to know what the weather's doing in other parts of the world, which is really quite lovely. Okay, now what I do with my pens is I've sorted them out into colour groups. So these are my warm pinks and oranges. I'm going to keep all of those together. I've got some blues here, and then I've got some greens, and I would suggest that you keep them organised. These sorts of pens, as with acrylic markers, need to be stored on their sides. Don't kind of stick them up like this. They might come in a really beautiful box like mine do. I'll show you the box a bit later, but I store the box on its side so that the ink is spread out across the whole lot and it doesn't all drain down one end. Same with acrylic markers. Felt tip pens, it doesn't matter. But with markers, just keep them horizontal. It works really well. You're also going to need a blender, which is usually white. And there's so many ways to blend acrylic markers. And I'm going to show you the ones that I really like. And then you can have a bit of a play and see what you like. So I am going to start by using my white marker. This is going to be a bit silly because you are not going to see it because it's white. But I'm priming this centre bit here. We need to work quickly with acrylic markers because they dry. They dry really, really fast. So I'm just putting in some strokes with this. Now what I want to do is to choose a colour that is very similar to the colour that I've just used. This is where the blending comes in. And I will do a mixture of both so you can see. If you go too extreme, then the blend doesn't work very well. So I'm just going in with this pink now on top of the orange. Can you see that that's starting to blend? Doing like curling. I'm not curling. What am I doing? Swirling. I'm swirling. That's what I'm doing. Oh my goodness. There we go. Can you see how that all sorts of blends in? So that is one way of doing it. I'm just going to do another one as we come out to the petals. We're going to do lots on this. So I'm going to come out with this darker colour, same as I've just done in the middle, but this is straight on to the paper without priming it first. Going over with this pink, just blending it together. You see, it doesn't blend brilliantly. You have to work at it, and it will go. Then you go back in with your original. You go over the top. You could use the nib or the brush. Just go over it. And this is what you have to keep doing. And this is why I say to some of my students, my adult students mainly, I don't tend to do alcohol markers with the younger ones. But my adult students will give up with alcohol markers because they say they don't work. And as always, it's just a technique. Learn the technique. Building this bit up bit by bit. And it's quite nice having to work quickly because your brain just doesn't have time to go into a panic and sort of worry about what mark you're making. And I have a little bit of a mantra. The mark that you make on the page is the correct mark. I say that quite a lot. And if you think you've made a mistake, then you just go over the top of it. That's fine. So this is a kind of a lilac-y colour now. If you are using pens for the first time, strongly recommend that you try all the colours and do a colour swatch, and then you've got that with you. And I did that with this, and I was going to show you, but that's down in my other studio, and I am very lucky. I have two studios. So the one I'm in now is in my home because I'm just doing this and I don't need a lot of space. But Jonathan, my husband, and I, we rent a space in the village, and he has part of it for his office and I have part of it for my larger studio for when I'm doing bigger canvases and things like that. Anyway, that is where that chart is. So I haven't got it. So what I might do is I will, when I go down there, because I'll probably go down there tomorrow, I will find it, take a photo and put it on the Facebook group or on the community post if you're interested. It will look a bit odd all on its own without context. So darker, bringing in the blend. Can you see how this is working now? The colours are gorgeous, aren't they? So gorgeous. This is my celebration of the dahlia. And you kind of keep going like this, and you can just sort of build up with the different colours. So where's the blender? I'm going to go over the top. Now, the blender will it's more like a bleach in a way. It will take out some of the darker colour, which could be really good if you want to do, can you see that there, a bit of highlighting or something like that. So that's my first petal. So that was one way of doing it. Now the other way, I was going to do with pale. Yeah, so we're going to start off with the pale colour. And with all of these techniques, it's not that one is better than the other. It depends what you want. It's really going to be dependent on what you want to do. Now I'm now going to go over the top of the yellow. So the yellow is acting like a base, like it's been primed with the yellow. And then we're just going to, similar to how we've done. I think I want it darker actually. I think I want that orange. Where's the orange gone? Oh, there we go. This is why it's important to have your colours close by. And you'll see it's just a different technique. The effect is almost identical. And that's why I say you can just work out what you want to do. I'm just going to build that. I need a kind of a deeper yellow oh, here we go. I think that's the one. That was the one I wanted. Like a yellow ochre. So this flower is going to be a mixture of pink and red and yellow and orange. It's very warm, sunshiny colours. Let's bring in some more pink. I'm just going to do it like this because I want you to see when a lot of people give up. They look at that and they think, oh my gosh, it's all gone horribly wrong. That is not what I want. Don't give up. I'm going to rescue this bit and show you. I go over the top in big strokes and we're going to blend it all together and it's going to be great. So don't worry. Circular little spirals work really, really well. Doing this sort of yellow over the top. And it can all start to come together. It takes time. This is where you need a little bit of patience. Just a little bit. And we're going to keep blending in with colours that are quite close together on the spectrum. Moving that along like that, and now I'm going to go into my pink. Oh, my brush, I think. I prefer using the brush, and if I'm doing sort of fine details, then I'll use the nib. Bringing those in, you see it's all starting to come together now and not look quite so messy. Like this, and then I'm going to do a bit of the blender over the top of that, bringing it down like this. And I'm going to come down to a darker point here. That's the colour I want to end up with, like that. Bringing it up like that into the brighter pink. Do like a pink. And then into that lilac. Now you'll find that some colours just blend better than others, and it might depend on the brand, and it might just depend on your technique. And this is why I strongly suggest that you just play with it and see what happens. I'm going to keep building, blending this in. And can you see how that's all coming together? Now this is a bit harsh, so I'm just going to knock that back a little bit. There we go. Thank you all so much for your lovely, lovely messages. I do read every single one, and they're joyful. They are joyful. And thank you for those of you who take time to comment on somebody else's post, because it's just really nice, isn't it? Same with the Facebook group. So if you want to share your work, or if you want to ask more questions or support other people, perhaps you'd like to come and join the Facebook groups. We have two. We have Friday Art and Doodle Club, and we have Open Studio. Friday Art and Doodle Club is for absolutely anybody. just, people who are just beginning, people who are really experienced, people who have done a lot of art but haven't done it for ages and they're coming back. Just a place to share our ideas, what we're doing, that kind of thing, support each other in our creative practice. And it is just lovely. There's also some just lovely conversations that happen, and it's a very, very warm and supportive place. Please answer the questions. I have had to turn away a few requests because you didn't answer the questions and agree to the group rules. If that was you, please try again and then I'll let you in. There we go. I'm just sort of blending this one out like that. And the other Facebook group is Open Studio, which is for anybody who's doing one of my courses. So that could be here on YouTube or it could be in Patreon. So I've got quite a few courses now on Patreon, and I also do Saturday sketchbook where we have a prompt every Saturday, and we see where that might take us. Just do a little bit of orange here, but you can see where this is. I'm going to do a little bit more of that, exactly the same sort of blending, and then I'm going to go on to greens. So I've done a few more of the petals. There's some are a little bit paler. It's going around the back. I might do a little bit more on them as well. So now I'm going to be doing the greens. So I've got the greens that I want to use. I'm going to do a combination. Like I said before, try out your colours because they don't always match. So this one is it's quite a blue, to be honest, but I'm going to start off with this and then we're going to just build it up. So I know that it's going to look a little bit strange because it's blue, but trust me on this because it's going to work. So we put that on there, and then I remember that I have used that one and I know where I've put it. I'm still using the brush. Now this one is sort of a yellowy green. I'm going to put that over the top like that. I'm not going right to the ends of the leaves yet. The whole thing with alcohol markers is it takes time. You have to give yourself some time to build up the blends and the tones. And it takes practice. So if you've never done it before, don't worry if it all goes a little bit wrong, a little bit squiffy to begin with. Just keep practicing. Practice on tiny bits, practice on different types of paper, see what's going to work for you. So I'm just sort of building this bit up. So now I'm getting the darker green at the bottom. Just move that a little bit up like that. I'm now using the narrower nib bit. Where's my lid? Always replace the lids as you're working. And the other thing that I should say is work in a well-ventilated room. Have the windows open because they do have some fumes. And I think this is probably why I haven't done these for a while, because I certainly wouldn't do these in the winter because I have asthma, and anything that's even slightly toxic is going to set off the asthma. This is fine if the window's open, not a problem. Not a problem at all. So little bits, using the nib and the brush, building up these. It's exactly the same technique as the petals, but you're obviously working in a sort of a narrower space. And you can put in details afterwards, which I will show you. I'll go back to the first one that I showed you. That's when I decided that this would be a good tutorial. So I hope it is. I hope you are enjoying it. And if you haven't used these markers before, I will put a link to all of these ones that I use, to the Artex products, because they're very good. I do like them. You know, I wouldn't recommend anything that I don't use and like. So check those out. That will all be in the description. So I'm putting this pale green right to the end, right to the tips of these leaves, as if I'm doing like an undercoat. And then we're going to come in a bit more, bit by bit, as we build up these leaves. Slight hint of blue in them as well, which I like. Bring that one down. So with the leaves and the flowers, when you get to the tips, it's darker. And then you can start to blend out the different colours or the different shades. And if it's still looking messy, just go over it again, because that is the key. The key is not to give up. We don't give up in my art classes. We work our way through it. So I don't want to be coming round and fishing things out of the bin now, do I? There we are. Building that up. I think it needs a little bit more yellow. So I'm going to go in with some yellow up here. Oh, that's nice. Yeah, that's what was needed. So you can build up and up and up. Now the other thing that you can do with these markers is that you can combine them with colouring pencils, and that can work really well. I will do that in another tutorial. I won't do it in this one because I haven't got a huge amount of time today. So, I will do that. I'll probably do it for Doodle Club actually on Monday. I'll do a combination of colouring pencils and markers. There we are. Building that up bit by bit. Bit of yellow up there. Let's take that darker green again, and then I'm going to bring that down using the nib. That can work quite well. So it depends on the sort of the effect that you want, really, because sometimes you do want to have lines, and I will put lines on these. Just blending that out a little bit more. But sometimes, you know, I do want it to have a lovely smooth finish. And so you can just go in with your blender, you can go in with a lighter colour. Now remember that you don't have to use the white to blend, because the white will act as a bit of a bleach. You could just use paler colours. So this will all work, and then you do need to kind of clean that bit up. So there's these sort of pale colours that you can use. Really, really recommend just practicing and playing. This is why I love working in a sketchbook. So I work in sketchbooks and journals. For me, they are two different things. I did a tutorial, a few months ago now. I'm just going to use this other one. I can't remember what this green is like. Oh, that's quite nice. That's quite a nice green. I did a tutorial on the difference for me between a sketchbook and an art journal, that you might like to check that one out. Basically, for me, a sketchbook is where I try out ideas, where I play. Perhaps I'll play with some new materials. Perhaps I'll play with some new ideas. And then I will develop some of those ideas into my paintings. My art journals quite often have a theme, and they might be complete. Just sort of blending these out little bit by little bit to get the effect that I want. So it could be that it's the season, so I might do a summer journal, or it could be a theme of prayer and contemplation, or a walk in the woods, or autumn, or spring flowers, or something like that. So each journal is complete in itself. It might take months to do. It might just take a few days. Just blending that one out a little bit more. And so they are very different. There's lots of crossovers, because there might be something in my journal that I think, oh, I'd like to play with that idea a little bit more. And so I will try something out in my sketchbook. So with my canvases, my paintings, I never go straight into the painting. I always do lots of practice pieces in my sketchbooks. There we go. And that's what I encourage all of my students to do. When I was teaching A-level and diploma, when I was at college, you have to learn how to develop an idea. You can't just dive straight in with the first one. You need to work it through if you want to get really good anyway. So, and your sketchbook is a place for making mistakes. So your sketchbook will be messy. That is very important, to allow yourself to make mistakes, for things to go wrong, all of that kind of thing. That is very, very important. Right, I will play around. I'm not too happy with that bit. I'm going to work on it a little bit more. But I do want to do some background, and I think I'm going to do the background as sort of blues and greys. So I'm now going to do that sky. I'm going to start off with just sort of a very pale blue. Just going to do the whole, like the background, quite rough, because we're going to go over the top. So it's just like putting a base down, like a primer, something like that. And then I want to have this sort of impression of clouds and that kind of thing. So I'm just going to put in some blues and lilac-y type colours, and we're just going to blend them through and just see what happens. So let's just put in this. It's exactly the same as before. And remember, it starts off looking messy. So don't worry about that. Enjoy getting a little bit messy. So this one is a slightly darker, like this. I'm going to put that in. I'm going to go with this one. It's even darker. I'm going to put those to one side. I'm not going to come back to those ones just yet. I'm going to go in with the lighter over the top, doing this sort of circular movement again. So it doesn't matter if it's all looking messy, it's all going to come together. There we are. Let's get a bit of the blender in, just so that it's over the top. As you see, I'm working quickly. It is important that you remember that you do need to work quite quickly. Right, I'm now going to put in a bit of a lilac. So this will give that idea of clouds coming in. And I can always go in with the blender again. Just putting in these different shades. Get the light blue over the top. This is why it's good if you do have quite a few different shades. It does make it easier actually to blend all of them in. Bring it in like this. And then I'm going to go in with a cream for this one. Oh, is that the one I want? No, that's not what I want. There we go. Because that will, again, it will just give the different sorts of tones. Building this up. And then I'm going to go in with a very light grey. Let me just make sure I have got the right one. Yep, this is the one. And pick just little bits of the grey like this. And all of the colours that are underneath, they all count. And this is why what is so lovely about alcohol markers that you don't get with acrylic pens, for example. Because with acrylic pens, as soon as they're dry, you can put one colour on top of another and you can't see the colour underneath. That is how it works, which is lovely. It's not that it's a bad thing, it's different. And it might not be what you want. So just bear these sorts of things in mind. You see, I'm just building up these little bits. I'm going to go in with the white blender that I've just put to one side. Let's just push that. Go have a piece of paper just to make sure that the brush is clean. Blending that all through. This. Now what you could do, once this is completely dry, you can go over the top with acrylic markers, so which will obliterate if something you think, oh gosh, I don't like that at all. I'm going to leave that kind of misty colour up there. I just do a little bit. Quite often I would do the background first. If I'm doing watercolours, for example. If you've watched any of my watercolour tutorials, you'll know that I will say all the time, do your backgrounds first. But with alcohol markers, it doesn't matter quite so much. There we go, just putting in just this light blue sort of fade. The grey will fade to the blue, like this, as you can see. But you could have a much darker background if you want to. That could look really good. It could look quite dramatic. Let's just put this in like that. And just, as always, play around with some ideas. And I would absolutely love to know your thoughts. Have you used alcohol markers before? Are you kind of like, yep, they're absolutely brilliant, love working with them? Some of you got them stuck in your cupboard and that have been there for, well, since Christmas. I know. It took me a while to get into them, to be honest. I think because I love working with watercolours and acrylic markers, I just thought, oh, do I need to learn how to use another medium? But I'm really pleased I did, because they're all different. So you can build up your designs, and you can have these for cards, for your art journals, all sorts of ideas. So I think this is what I'm going to do for Doodle Club. I'm going to do this combination of colouring pencils and markers, and we'll do some fun sort of seaside themes. I think that could be joyful. And I know that some of you are in the Southern Hemisphere and you are absolutely not experiencing summer weather. I do appreciate that. I love having the weather updates. I really do. So I had a lovely message from someone in Adelaide who said it was absolutely torrential rain the other day. So I actually would quite like some torrential rain. I think my garden would definitely like some torrential rain. And if you're in parts of the world that are going through very dangerous weather, then please, please take care. Our thoughts are with you. They really are. Okay, I'm building that bit up. I'm going to do a little bit more on this, but let's just go back to the first one and do a little bit more on that one. So I put a piece of paper underneath because it will come through. So just protect your page like that. I'm going to start off, this is going to be more kind of pink. I'm going to put in one shade like this, working quite quickly. The nice thing about acrylic markers is that you can just sort of pack them up in a bag and take them out. So, and I have done that in a way that I don't tend to do with paint and watercolours. So I get in a right old mess outside. It's just there'll be, the wind will pick up and then I'll get bits of grass stuck into my work, and or there'll be a lovely person who comes along and wants to talk to me, and so I don't get anything done at all. There are some people locally, some artists locally, who just absolutely love being outside and doing their fresh air painting en plein air. But that's not me really. Although I love being outside. I'll be outside with my camera. Definitely. We went for a lovely, lovely walk last weekend. Oh, it was so good. A little bit of a breeze, so it wasn't too sticky. Though I have been swimming nearly every day. I'm very lucky to live by the sea. So nice to be able to swim in the sea. We are like this, blending that over the top. So you can move quite fast, as you can see, just covering the areas. It's a good way if you want to try out ideas with colour. You think, oh, I wonder how that colour would work. You could do tiny little swatches, sort of tiny little experiments, which is what I encourage my students to do. If they're not really sure what colours to use or what techniques to use, I say, well, just cut some small strips, sort of like a postcard size or even smaller, and then see what it's like. And then all of those little credit card size pieces can all go into your sketchbook to show your experiments. And that leads me on to actually a question that someone asked in the Facebook group about annotation. So I encourage all of my students to annotate their work, but a lot of them, as in with the person who asked the question, not quite sure what I mean by annotation. And if you are doing a qualification, your annotations are really important to help the examiner know what you're doing. But then it's more than that. It's not just a mindless exercise. Your annotations help you to learn. So, for example, if this was new to me and I hadn't used pens like this before, my annotations would be what I've used, the colours I've used. I would do little, I would do like a mark here, and then I would look at the number. So I could put, that's number 86, and that would be part of the annotation. I would write down the things that I really liked about the pens, and then I would write down the things I didn't like. I could write about artists that I've been influenced by. So, it could be looking at the work of one of the grandmasters or something like that, and looking at how they use tone and blend. So that would be part of an annotation. So it's all of that kind of thing. It's your reference. so that when you look back, and this is what I'm saying about a sketchbook being part of your developing practice, is you can look back and you think, oh, I really like that technique or that colour or that colour combination. What did I use? How did I do that? And if you have not, if it was something that you did about 6 months ago, then the chances are you think, I've got absolutely no idea how I did that. And that's where your annotations are really helpful. And that's the whole point. Your annotations as an adult doing your own thing, they're for you. Whatever is going to work for you. With an art journal, then you might be adding words like quotes or poems or favourite lyrics, song lyrics, that kind of stuff. That isn't an annotation. That is just using text and words in your work, which is lovely. It's a really lovely thing to do. So I hope that's okay, and you understand that. But if you've still got no idea what I'm talking about, then feel free to message me. There we go. I'm going to be doing more kind of art theory and more techniques and things like that on this channel, but also more in depth on Patreon. So it's a way to, I have a little bit more freedom there, and it also helps me to kind of do this channel as well. So I've kept the payments as low as I possibly can, but thank you so much for everyone who has joined that. I hope you're getting a lot out of it. It's been quite fun. We've just finished one course, Ink, Paint and Echo, and people seem to enjoy that. It's quite new, my Patreon. There's not very many of us, so it's a little bit select. But if you want to take your art to just to the next level, really, want to learn a little bit more, pop over. There is a free stuff on there as well. So adding those with me waffling on, you can see how that all comes together. And I hope that you're going to get some ideas of things that you could do. Colour combinations, that kind of thing. So no, I'm not the only one who likes pink. I do like pink. Adding this, moving the ink around like this. And I'm just going to go in with a paler colour. Is it that one? Or is that the yellowy one? No. Oh yeah, that might work. This is the other thing that I love with my students, is when they say, oh, I wonder what would happen if I did that. I love that kind of question. That's a great question. Okay, don't be afraid to try something out and see what happens. Right, I'm going to do a little bit more on this, do some more of the leaves. We'll come back at the end and I'll show you what I've done. So I finished the background on this one, and I thought what I would do, I'm going to work a little bit with an acrylic marker, the white one. This is a Drawlish extra fine acrylic marker, and I'm just going to do a few little details, a few sort of dots, a few lines on this one. And this is what I said before, you can sort of add different types of media to what you've done. It just kind of adds little touches to your piece, which I quite like that. So that kind of thing. And you could go in with sort of more details with a different colour pen, that sort of thing. And then I thought what I'd do, I'll just pop that over the top. Oh no, where's it gone? Other way, this is it. With this one, I thought I would just leave it as it is. I'm not going to put any any kind of fancy things on it at all. I'm just going to leave it like that. And so it has a kind of a watercolour feel to it. So there's that one. And that one. Well, I hope you enjoyed this one and that you've got ideas for your own alcohol markers, or you could do these designs in a different medium altogether. If you'd like to see some more, look at this one up here because I think you're going to like it. And I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye bye.